Hi guys, we're here in Vancouver, British Columbia. We're at Zee Kesler's tiny house, the Tiny Community Center. We're gonna go take a tour. Hi Zee, come on in. Wow.
Welcome.
So this is Zee, and this is her Tiny Community Center.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about why this is called a Tiny Community Center and not a tiny house?
Originally, when I first came up with the idea, I thought it would be neat to build a house for myself, but then I thought, well, what if I put it in someone's backyard and the neighbors complain? So I thought, okay, well, my practice is I'm a community-based artist, so that basically means you work with the community, you have a dialogue about things. So I was like, maybe we should have a dialogue about tiny houses. So I thought, well, the best way to do that is to put one in a public space and see what people think. So I thought, maybe what we could do is start an artist residency / workshop space where people could come and check one out that had never seen one before, and we'd run some courses inside. And so we just got a park board's residency here in Vancouver for the Artists and Communities program, and we're doing a project called the Magic Trout Imaginarium. And so it's like a curiosity cabinet classroom where you explore your neighborhood and just learn how to see everything around you as inspiration.
Which design did you end up going with?
At the time it was called the Fensel, now it's called the Cypress with Tumbleweed. And then I brought the plans home and showed all my friends eagerly, and they were like, oh, we know how to do houses too, and we can help you. And so my friend John helped me redesign certain aspects of it, like adding these awesome windows at the back for more light and changing the pitch of the roof. And then we had a workshop where Josh and Dave and John taught people how to build, and Nathan helped with the trailer part. And people registered to take the workshop, and then so that helped fund our project basically. So the interior is about 7.5 feet by 19, and then the exterior is about 20 by 8.5 by 13.5 tall.
So how many students do you think you could have in this tiny classroom?
So we could fit 12. So two here facing this way, two facing this way, two. One and one, we still have to get chairs for these two spots, and then another one there. Depending on the classes we're having, like these ones here are actually in their kind of finished state, but basically they fold down. So if you wanted to have like a movie and pull down a screen, you know, you could all sit on the floor on cushions and everyone would be able to have a space. And then all of our benches are storage. When we actually start our workshops, we'll have you know, art supplies and like paper and things like that, and so even this back bench is storage as well. So
well, I really like how you've designed this. You have a door here as well that, you know, you can actually write your class schedule on.
yeah, it's a little smudged, but it's yeah, we wrote a classroom, like a hypothetical classroom workshop schedule last night. We just thought it would be nice to have one door a little bit bigger, because in tiny houses you often have a much smaller front door, and we thought, you know, for accessibility, if someone's in a wheelchair, we need a little bit bigger door on one side. So
yeah, exactly. And what kind of classes do you think you're going to have here?
Well, we have 3 artists. My friend Francoise Thibault, who is an artist who makes drawing devices for people that think they can't draw. And she basically takes pieces of plexiglass and puts acetate on them, and then you can kind of look around in your environment and frame things and then trace. So it's like a way for people to learn how to draw, that they're like, oh, I can't draw. It's like, well, it's tracing. You can look at what you see. Mm-hmm. So we're doing sort of like explorations in that. And then another artist, Emily Smith, is she does stuff with textiles. So she's going to be teaching spinning and natural dyeing with different natural ephemera found at Trout Lake, which is where our residency is. And then I'll be sort of doing some classes on curiosity cabinet building and collections and how to find inspiration in found items. A lot of the artwork and items found in here I've been collecting for about 2 years since we came up with the idea for this project. And a lot of my friends are artists, so over the years I've just been collecting some of their work, and I really want to display it because I think they're just amazingly talented and deserve recognition. So I have some art from my friend Jen Tranecki, who is an amazing painter here in Vancouver. And this is a portrait of their house that they renovated themselves. It's the oldest house in Vancouver. I thought I would buy that just to sort of document a moment in time, and it kind of reminds me of the tiny house in a way. So, and then there's some artwork by my friend Aaron Pasternak, who's a photographer. Along the top we have Sean Caremaker, who does these beautiful scrolls. He's also a video game designer and comic book maker. And then I have a couple artworks by Brad Radwood, who makes art out of found pieces of wood, like driftwood he finds on the beach or just wood he finds in alleys, and he finds the knots and finds characters hidden inside. And he also did the pigeons up there. And then we have an artist, Ruth Munroe, who worked at a cafe across the street from where we were building. And she watched us build the house over the whole summer and said, "Can I paint you a mural?" And we said, "Of course." And we checked out her website, and her art was amazing. So we were just super impressed. So the puppet, it was a present from my mom, actually. It's just such a cool, authentic, like real marionette. Like, it's just so neat. It's kind of hard to maneuver. It's pretty heavy though. Mm-hmm. But you know, it comes out and dances sometimes at parties. Josh and Dave work in the movies, and they use a lot of really thin ply when they make movie sets, and they know how to work with it really well, and they know the limits of it. So they thought, well, that's just way better for this particular purpose. And so they put in the plywood, and then we put some wallpaper over top, which I know is not common of tiny houses, but because we're not really cooking and showering in here for the artist residency, it's not really going to have any moisture problems. So we thought it would be kind of funky. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of stuff donated for this house. Like almost everything was free, like all the framing and all the windows and all the insulation. And so we had all these windows, and John McFarlane of Camera Buildings, he's the one that modified the designs. He said, well, we have these extra 2 windows. Maybe we could do something with them. And then he thought, well, I think the thing that would be really neat is sort of creating some kind of design that distinguishes it from a shed, because you would never see this type of design in the windows in a shed. And he's like, it'll just kind of create like an icon for your project and let way more light in. And when I saw what he was doing, I was like, how does that even work? There's like this box that just sort of sits in the middle, and it's actually kind of put together in this like cabinetry style where it's like all notched together, and then there's also like metal rods coming up to support it. So it's essentially one giant huge window, but it looks like it's 4 windows.
This is just a really inspiring place to take art classes, I think. But that was the whole idea, I suspect.
Yeah, I think that when you make an inspiring place, people become inspired. So it's a natural idea for an artist to try to create a really neat space. And I remember taking an art class in high school in a science lab, and it was just not inspiring. I remember being so affected by the space, and I guess that's maybe what drove me to create spaces for people to create.
And what do you think the advantages are of having a classroom on wheels?
Well, I think that if you can move to different communities, you're not just stuck with one group of people that might just walk by every day and check it out. So you can move into a community or to a park, and then you can kind of get to know the people in that neighborhood and create a hub. And then you're there. We're going to stay at places for maybe like 6 months to a year and a half, get to know people, create a community, introduce people to each other. And then when we leave, those connections are still there. So it's great for us, it's great for them. And I think it'll just be neat to explore different communities and have different people hear about what we're up to and get to use our space.
Now, this is originally in the Tumbleweed design. It's a bathroom area, but what are you using it for?
So ours, if it was a bathroom, would be a wet bath. So it's, just imagine this is the toilet, and then there would be the shower up there. But actually, we're planning on using it as a photo booth. So this is like the little tickle trunk where you'd put all your costumes. And then you would sit down, and there's going to be like a tablet or an iPad there, and you can control it and take photos with your friends. So we thought that would be kind of a neat use for the bathroom. Let's just let people use the park board bathroom, and we'll use this for a funky purpose. Welcome to the kitchen nook. Our kitchen counters are made out of recycled hardwood flooring that we found on a website called freecycle.org, which is like Craigslist, but they only have, recycled stuff from people. And I find people are a lot more reliable and like excited to give out things, and they actually show up, and they're excited to give it to you. So I really like Freecycle. And so our cabinets and our counter and the loft floor is made out of this recycled hardwood. Yeah, Josh made them. He's pretty talented. He does everything. And he like notched them and bought the metal, and he came and he just does funny things where like he won't tell me and you'll just put something like that on there, and he knows that I like weird stuff, so he's always surprising me with fun stuff.
So what is the plan for the kitchen during the classroom session?
I'm thinking it might be useful to use this space right here and put like a taller chair, like a bar stool and have it as an extra spot in case there's an extra person, or maybe for the instructor to like have a spot to prepare. I think we'll just find out what's happening. At first it's just going to be artsy things, but we might be able to bring in a hot plate, and for when we're when you make natural dyes, you often warm it up with a hot plate and put like the leaves inside of a pot and to get all the colors out of them, so that might happen.
Any refrigerator plans?
I think it's a cost thing at this point. We're trying to keep it low cost, so if we come across a fridge that fits in there, that would be great, but if not, I don't think we need it. Like it's definitely not high on the priority list right now.
Well, if nothing else, it's a great place to display the art.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it would be really neat to have like this area used in an artsy way. So
if you eventually put it in an oven, now I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
You can do like clay creations and stuff too.
Yeah. And like there's these things called shrinky dinks. You draw something and then it like it's really, really small, which is good for curiosity cabinets too. So maybe we'll
and for
do that.
the play on words with the
the tiny exactly tiny everything at this place.
Yeah.
So the ladder, we plan on painting these rungs so you don't see all the foot marks, and we also plan on putting some kind of clear plastic behind here because your feet might scrape the wall, but we haven't gotten to that point. We finished it a day ago, so that's the future. But anyways, so yeah, it's attached on here.
All right, so this is the upstairs area. So what are you going to be using this space for the community center?
I think what we'll do is use it for coats. Coats and shoes and things like that, because when you have 12 people, there's no way they're all going to fit downstairs, and we might have birthday parties at some point, and that would be a good place to put presents and
it's storage.
Keep them safe. Yeah,
it's a good storage. It's an attic kind of.
Yeah.
I suggest whoever is the teacher should make a grand entrance every day to class by coming down through the portal. And class has started. And sort of just descend into the room. Okay, so why don't you tell me a little bit about your trailer?
Yeah, so my partner's a welder, which is magical. That's actually how we met, talking about this project. And he modified a trailer that we found, and it was buried in the back of a junkyard somewhere, and it took forever to get it out of the spot, and it was a dovetail, so he actually modified it to be a flatbed. Lots of little things had to be done, had to be repainted and grinded and all that sort of stuff. So for our siding, we use cedar, and we got it off of a guy who actually works at the railroad unpacking things, and when they have like an odd amount of stuff that you can't like sell the whole thing, he gets to keep it and sell it, I guess. So he gave us a really good deal on this siding, and so we decided to put some sealant on it to make it kind of stay like a kind of golden color. We thought it worked well with the trim color. But one thing that we didn't realize, or I didn't realize, is Josh and Dave and everyone sent me to go get the siding. Just said, go get siding, it has to be this thick, and I bought beveled siding, not realizing that our trim did not account for beveled siding. So what we actually have to do is either take off the siding and redo the trim, or we could just put some foam and then put some sealant in there, which is going to be, like for the long term, you don't want to get bugs in there. So that's one of the kind of little mistakes that people make sometimes. I don't know if other people make this mistake, but I know exactly how that happened. And that's what happens when you work in a big crew of people and everyone's kind of in a rush, is just forget one little detail. Things like that can happen. And we were just like, well, we just have to get it done. So deal with it later. These are our sort of attached gutters. So because our trailer, it's built, like our house is built over the wheel wells, we have to take off our gutters every time we move. So when we bought our gutters, we didn't have a way to transport them, so we just got these kind of like half gutters. But it works. It keeps the water off of the side, because we noticed the sealant was rubbing away, and one side was, I guess it was a little bit tilted. We hadn't leveled it yet. So we just had to get them in a rush, and we just never really had the chance to fix it and do it properly. But next time we move, we'll do it properly. It's right now, it's just hanging there. So this is our vertical garden, and we got they're called Chicks and Hens. We got them donated by a place called Figaro's Garden on Victoria Drive in Vancouver, and they were nice enough to give us a whole bunch of these. Yeah, I think it looks kind of neat.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking us through the tiny community center.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Action.
He's headbanging. Yeah.